latest one. It must have been one of the last emails he sent.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. Okay, let me see. Can you see my screen or?
Rob, we're able to see the slideshow screen, but we're also able to see like the next slide screen as well.
Okay, let me see. How can I fix that?
If you fully expanded with that square thing, click that first. You know, fully expand that. Then if you go to display options to your left, go left. It says end slideshow. Yeah, click that. Oh, perfect. There you are. You got this.
Just to let
Okay.
everyone know, someone did hit the start webinar button, so the webinar has started and all attendees can hear and see you guys.
Okay, no problem. Just in case anyone's on the line, we're just getting set up here. Okay, just checking. You can see just one screen, right? The correct screen. Okay. Do we have any participants with us right now? Is there?
Yes, we have. Currently, we have 15 attendees that they're able to hear and see your screen at this point.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Then I think we can get started. Then at this time. Okay, let's get started, I guess. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and thank you for attending the State Road 7 Mobility Improvements virtual public meeting for Prospect Road. Today is March 4th, 2021. Time is 5:30 p.m. My name is Rob Lopez. I am the project manager with the Florida Department of Transportation, District 4. I'll be your moderator for this meeting. At this point, I would like to ask if there are any elected officials joining us today. If there are, please identify yourself on the question comment box. I'll wait 1 minute to give anyone a chance to enter. Basil or Raymond, do you see any comments entered in the box? I'm not able to see my comment screen.
I do not.
No, okay. Okay, well, I guess we'll keep going then for a moment. Okay. Okay, yeah, we can continue. We're here today to discuss the State Road 7 Mobility Improvements project along Prospect Road from State Road 7 to Commercial Boulevard. The intent of this project is to provide bicycle lanes, sidewalk connectivity along Prospect Road. Bicycle lanes will be incorporated by reducing the existing travel lane width, and sidewalks will be incorporated to fill in any gaps where there are currently no sidewalks along the alignment. Members of the project team who will be presenting information during the meeting are myself, Robert Lopez, Boswell Hershey, and Raymond Bolito. I guess, as everyone knows, due to the state of emergency declared by Governor DeSantis in Executive Order 2052, and as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is authorized to be held in virtual mode rather than in person as we normally do. We are currently using the GoToWebinar meeting platform for the meeting, and there is no cost to the public to log in or dial in to participate in this meeting. Okay, before we start the presentation, I'll share just a few housekeeping items that hopefully help you through this meeting. On your computer or device screen, you should see something that looks like the picture shown in the upper right corner of the screen. This is your control panel. To listen to the meeting, your computer or device speakers are selected by default. If you prefer to listen by phone, select phone call in the audio pane of the control panel and dial in using the information displayed. For those that do dial into the meeting on a telephone line and are viewing a hard copy of the slide presentation or downloaded a copy before the meeting, we will also announce the page numbers to help you keep track, to help you follow along with a hard copy. We are currently on slide 5. The slides are available for download by the link included in the webinar at the GoTo registration or at www.d4fdot.com. On that webpage, you will find access to FDOT projects in Broward County. Both of them, you will in Broward County, you'll then see option for future projects and projects under construction. You'll want to access the future projects and locate a page that says State Road 7 Transit Mobility Improvements along Prospect Road. There you'll be able to download a link of today's presentation. Okay, we're on slide 6. All attendees will be placed on listen-only mode throughout the meeting using the control panel. You can comment or ask questions during the meeting. Comments and questions can be typed in the question pane, or you can be called on to speak by clicking the raise hand button, which will be discussed in a later slide. We will collect these questions and comments and provide responses at the end of the meeting or at a later date. Slide 7. If you happen to experience technical issues during the meeting, please type the issue in the question pane on the control panel and report it, and we will do our best to assist you. Those of you may have joined, as you know, technology sometimes can be, things don't always go right, but we'll do our best to try to work with you. This meeting is being recorded and will be available, and a recording of this meeting will be available after the meeting. Public notice for this virtual meeting, including information on how to access the meeting platform, was also provided in letters to the property owners and tenants in the project area, posting in the Florida Administrative Register, and in emails to persons on the project contact list and on social media feeds. So we try to use multiple methods to reach out to the public. A notice was also posted on the project website that I mentioned to you earlier, www.d4fdot.com. Those of you that may keep track of FDOT projects are probably familiar with this site. Again, that's www.d4fdot.com. Slide 9. The Florida Department of Transportation is required to comply with various non-discrimination laws and regulations, including the Title VI Civil Rights Act of 1964. Public participation is solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. Persons wishing to express concern about Title VI may do so by contacting either Florida Department of Transportation District 4 Title VI Coordinator or the state Florida Department of Transportation statewide Title VI Coordinator. The contact information for these officials are shown on the screen, as well as in the meeting notification that was sent out. And you can see on the right-hand side there, both the District 4 Title 6 coordinator Sharon and statewide coordinator Jacqueline. As we mentioned before, we encourage participation, and there are multiple ways for you to participate. You can submit comments and questions. Comments and questions can be typed in the question pane, or you can be called on to speak by clicking the raise your hand button. You can see a symbol of the raise your hand button there under the during meeting header. And everyone, including those of you who dialed in, can submit your comments or questions after the meeting by using mail, email, or telephone. My phone number is also listed on the screen there. And this information is, again, also available at www.d4fdot.com. As I said earlier, responses to all comments and questions will be provided at the end of the meeting or a later date. All comments and questions submitted through these options are part of the public records for a virtual meeting and will be considered by the department during project decision making. The recording of this meeting will be linked to a follow-up email to all persons that have registered for the meeting. The meeting video link will also be posted at, again, www.d4fdot.com. And again, you can find it by clicking on projects in Broward County and then clicking on future projects and then the State Road 7 transit improvements along Prospect Road. The public comment period will remain open through March 11th, 2021 to accommodate any of those of you who are not able to attend with us today. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the project team to you. Again, I have myself, Robert Lopez, as you can see, the FDOT project manager. We have Raymond Valito, who is the consultant project manager. And we have the responsible engineers of record, which again, Raymond Valito, who is EOR for signing pavement marking and roadway, and Murray Santoro, who is the drainage engineer of record. We also have with us today Fazil Qureshi from the Broward MPO, and I'd like to hand it over to Fazil to talk to you a little bit more about the Broward MPO.
All right, Rob. Oh, sorry, Rob. Thank you for that brief introduction. My name is Fazil Qureshi from the Broward MPO. I'm the mobility projects manager. I'm just going to quickly go over on who the Broward MPO is. We are a federally chartered entity responsible for transportation decision making in the Broward region. We help influence the expenditure of federal and state transportation funds at the regional level. We are actually governed by an MPO board, which is consisted of 31 municipalities, Broward County School Board, and also South Florida Regional Transportation Authority, which many of you know as the Tri-Rail. One way that we help get projects programmed and get implemented is through our development of plans, through many different studies that we can conduct, and also we help establish initiatives and programs for the Broward County region. Our mission is to collaboratively plan, prioritize, and fund the delivery of diverse transportation options, and our vision is our work will have measurable positive impact by ensuring transportation projects are well selected, funded, and delivered. Next, Robert. Now, many of you might ask, where did this project come from? This project actually originated from our State Road 7 Multimodal Improvements Corridor study. This study was adopted by our MPO board in July of 2016. This is actually a link which many of you all will be able to read and look at the report after these slides have been sent out to everyone. what this study looked at was a mile-wide corridor or a mile-wide area around the State Road 7 corridor, which started from the Miami-Dade County line and it just went a little bit north of Sample Road. And some of the goals that were identified as part of this study was how can we improve safety for all roadway users, continue to improve the transit service within the State Road 7 corridor, how we can invest in transportation solutions that are cost effective, how we can encourage lane use in urban form to supplement the multimodal transportation options, reduce automobile traffic congestion without adversely impacting the mobility and or safety of cyclists, pedestrians, and transit users. Out of this study, 8 groups of projects have been moved to implementation, which means that these 8 groups of projects included multiple segments that were funded for design and construction, with FDOT being a partner of FDOT to help have these projects implemented. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to the design team at FDOT.
Thank you, Faisal. So now we are on slide 15. As Robert indicated previously, we are here today to discuss the Prospect Road mobility improvements along State Road 7, along Prospect Road from State Road 7 to Commercial Boulevard, as indicated by the blue line on the screen. As you can see within the screen, we're within the city of North Lauderdale, within the municipal limits of the city of North Lauderdale, city of Fort Lauderdale, and the city of Tamarac. Next slide. Slide 16. In addition to the Broward County MPO, which Faisal was representing, we are coordinating together with Broward County, City of Tamarac, City of Fort Lauderdale, and City of North Lauderdale to obtain feedback and comments related to the proposed improvements, and this will continue throughout the duration of the project. Next slide. Slide 17. So what are the proposed improvements? On the roadway side, we are reducing travel lanes from 12 feet to 11 feet and widening the roadway to provide for bicycle lanes. We're constructing sidewalks where missing along the south side of Prospect Road from State Road 7 to Northwest 31st Avenue, and along both sides of the road from Northwest 31st Avenue to State Road 870 Commercial Boulevard. We will also be milling and resurfacing the roadway to replace the striping as a result of the reduced travel lane widths. We're correcting roadway crosslope on Prospect Road between Northwest 36th Avenue and Northwest 35th Avenue. And we are providing for ADA improvements throughout the corridor. On the drainage standpoint, we're providing drainage improvements as a result of the widened pavement. On the signing and pavement marking standpoint, we're replacing all pavement markings, replacing signs impacted by the widening, and adding additional signage based on the proposed improvements. On the signalization standpoint, we have pedestrian signal modifications at the intersections of State Road 7, Northwest 31st Avenue, and at Commercial Boulevard. From the landscaping standpoint, tree removals and root pruning will be required as a result of the widened pavement, of the widened roadway. Next slide. Slide 18. The next couple of slides provides a conceptual view of the typical section through various locations along the project. The first typical section is along Prospect Road from State Road 7 to Northwest 31st Avenue. I bring your attention to the base map on the top right of the screen. The red square identifies the location where this typical pertains to. Again, we're now looking at Prospect Road from State Road 7 to Northwest 31st Avenue. The rendering on the screen is facing the eastbound direction. The existing travel lanes are currently 12 foot wide and there are no bicycle lanes in the existing condition. The proposed improvement will reduce the travel lanes to 11 feet. The same number of travel lanes from the existing condition is maintained. In addition to the travel lane width reduction, there's also minor roadway widening. The combination of the reduction in travel lanes and the roadway widening allows us to introduce 5-foot bicycle lanes with a 2-foot buffer as shown on the screen. Continuous sidewalk will be provided along the south side of the roadway, also as shown on the rendering in the screen. Next slide. Slide 19. We move towards typical section 2 of 4, and this typical section is also looking in the eastbound direction and represents Prospect Road from Northwest 31st Avenue to Northwest 28th Avenue. Similar to the previous slide, the existing lanes are 12 foot wide and are being reduced to 11 feet. There are no existing bicycle lanes in the existing condition. There is going to be minor roadway widening. The combination of the reduction in travel lanes and the roadway widening allows us to introduce 5-foot bicycle lanes with a 2-foot buffer as shown on the screen. Continuous sidewalk will be provided along both sides of the roadway as shown on the rendering on the screen as well. Next slide. This is typical section 3 of 4. Again, we are looking in the eastbound direction. This typical section is along Prospect Road from Northwest 28th Avenue to Northwest 24th Avenue. The existing travel lanes are 12-foot wide travel lanes, and there is no bicycle lanes. The existing roadway today is a flush shoulder roadway and does not have sidewalk. There is landscaping, existing landscaping, separating Prospect Road and the frontage road. The frontage road is the gray pavement shown on both sides of the screen. So it's those 2 gray pavements shown on the far left and the far right of your screen. There is no proposed work on the frontage road. The proposed improvements reduce the Prospect Road travel lanes from 12 feet to 11 feet. The same number of travel lanes will be maintained in the proposed condition. There is also minor roadway widening. The combination of the reduction in travel lanes and the roadway widening allows us to introduce 5-foot bicycle lanes, curb and gutter, and a sidewalk along both sides of the roadway, and that's depicted on the screen. Our design considers how to minimize impacts to existing landscaping along the corridor, and that existing landscaping is a separation between Prospect Road and the frontage road. Next slide. Slide 21. This is the final typical section we'll be presenting. This last typical section we are presenting is Prospect Road from Northwest 24th Avenue to Commercial Boulevard. The rendering on the screen is facing the southbound direction. The existing travel lanes in this corridor, in this section, are 12-foot wide travel lanes with no existing bicycle lanes. The existing roadway is a flush shoulder roadway and will remain a flush shoulder roadway in the final condition. The proposed improvements reduce the travel lanes to 11 feet. The same number of travel lanes will be maintained. There is also minor roadway widening. The combination of the reduction in travel lane width and the roadway widening allows us to introduce 5-foot bicycle lanes with a 2-foot buffer. Continuous sidewalk will be provided along both sides of the roadway. Next slide. So those previous 4 slides summarize the proposed improvements. We move over to the temporary traffic control plans, and it's basically how we maintain traffic during construction. We pay extreme attention to safety, mobility, and access. Those are paramount to us. Access for emergency responders and driveways will be maintained. All construction activities will occur during non-peak hours. Pedestrian detours will be provided where sidewalk closures occur. Next slide. Slide 23. We will follow a similar progression to what we did with the proposed roadway to discuss how we construct and maintain traffic. The first slide you see is Prospect Road from State Road 7 to Northwest 31st Avenue. Again, on the top right corner of your screen, you'll see a red box identifying the location of the corridor that we're currently talking about. We break up this temporary traffic control plans into various phases. On the top left of your screen, you're going to see Phase 1, Step 1. Phase 1, Step 1 focuses on constructing the portions of sidewalk that are currently missing to allow for continuous pedestrian movements during the construction of this project. See the highlighted shape on the top left of your screen. That orange shape, those orange shapes that we're going to be seeing identify the area that we will be constructing. We then move to Step 2, which is Step 2, Phase 1, Step 2 is on the top right of your screen. Step 2 shifts travel lanes over to the north side of the roadway while maintaining the same number of travel lanes and reduces the travel lane widths to 10 feet temporarily. This allows for sufficient space we need to construct a widening behind a barrier wall. We are also maintaining pedestrian traffic during this phase. Then we move, once we finalize Phase 1, we move over to Phase 2, which is depicted on the bottom of the screen. In this phase, we shift traffic from the north to the south and maintain travel lanes at 10 feet and place a barrier wall to allow for the widening and drainage work that's going to be occurring on the north side of the roadway. This completes the major activities for this typical. One of the main things that I want to bring up here is that you'll see that we're maintaining the same number of lanes during construction. Next slide. Slide 24. The next slide you see is Prospect Road from Northwest 31st Avenue to Northwest 28th Avenue. As discussed previously, we are widening the roadway to introduce bicycle lanes. Phase 1 shifts travel lanes over to the north side of the roadway while maintaining one travel lane in each direction and reduces travel lane widths to 10 feet. This allows us sufficient space we need to construct the widening behind a barrier wall. We are also maintaining pedestrian traffic during both phases. Phase 2 shifts traffic to the south, reduces travel lanes, and phase 2 is shown on the right of your screen, and reduces travel lane widths to 10 feet and places a barrier wall to allow for the widening on the north side. Again, in this phase, we maintain pedestrian traffic on the south side of the road. This completes the major activities for this segment of Prospect Road. Next slide. Now we move over to, now we are on slide 25. We are seeing Prospect Road from Northwest 28th Avenue to Northwest 24th Avenue. Again, as discussed previously, we are widening this section of roadway to introduce bicycle lanes. Prior to phase 1, and phase 1 is shown on the top of the screen, the roadway will be overbuilt, so additional pavement will be placed on the roadway to account for the changes in the roadway profile based on future drainage improvements. In conjunction, temporary pavement will be placed on the north side of the roadway as shown in the gray shape. So if you look at that top figure that you see, you're going to see on the left side of the screen, right under the arrow that's facing down, you're going to see a gray shape. That gray shape represents temporary pavement that we're placing, again, in the temporary condition to be able to shift travel lanes to the north and be able to place a barrier wall on the south side to construct the south side widening and the south side sidewalk. Phase 2, which is shown on the bottom, shifts traffic to the south in the newly constructed pavement. Again, we maintain travel lane widths at 10 feet during this particular phase and place barrier wall on the north to allow for the widening on the north side. We maintain pedestrian traffic on the south side of the roadway. These two phases finalize the major activities for the section between 28th Avenue and 24th Avenue. Next slide. Slide 26. This last TCP slide you see is Prospect Road from Northwest 24th Avenue to Commercial Boulevard. As previously discussed, we are widening the roadway to introduce bicycle lanes within this section. Prior to phase 1, we're going to go ahead and do some pavement work to account for changes to elevation of the road. Then we move to the major phase, which is phase 1, step 2, which is shown on the top there on your screen. We shift the lanes over to the west side of the roadway while maintaining one travel lane in each direction and reduce the travel lanes to 10 feet. This allows us sufficient space we need to construct the widening behind a barrier wall. We are also maintaining pedestrian traffic on the on the west side of the roadway. Phase 2 does the opposite of phase 1. It shifts traffic to the east in the newly constructed pavement. Again, it maintains the travel lane widths at 10 feet and places a barrier wall on the east side to allow for the widening on the west. We are also maintaining pedestrian traffic in this phase. This finalizes all the major activities from a construction standpoint. Next slide. Slide 27. Now that we've discussed our proposed design and how we would maintain traffic, we are shifting our discussions to license agreements. License agreements are used to gain access to adjoining properties for sloping, grading, tying in, harmonizing, and reconnecting existing features of the licensor's property with the highway improvements to be constructed. These improvements that were discussed are for the benefit of the property owner. And then we wanted to show you a couple of examples as you may be hearing a little bit more about this. So I bring your attention first to the exhibit on the left of the screen. The dashed lines represent the existing ground. The proposed improvements are shown with solid lines, and those are the features that we will be introducing. I bring your attention to the elevation difference between the dashed lines at the bottom and the solid lines at the top. These features require, what you notice is at the right-of-way line, there's a difference in elevation that's typically less than a foot. But what a license agreement allows us to do, it allows us to harmonize onto the adjacent property to go ahead and correct these elevation differences. Again, it's for the benefit of the property owner. In a situation such as this, the area in green would be, if it's currently sod, we would go ahead and fill it with fill and place sod again So it would go ahead and actually match the existing proposed elevation as opposed to having a drop off between the Broward County right-of-way and the private property right-of-way. I also bring your attention to the second exhibit, which is on the right of the screen, and it shows a similar situation where we are at a lower elevation than the adjacent property. Again, the dashed line represents the existing roadway elevation. The proposed features are those shown in the solid. Situations like this would require harmonization to make the adjacent property flush at the same elevation with the Broward County property. And we would do this through a license agreement, which is for the benefit of the property owner. Next slide. Slide 28. This slide shows the property addresses where license agreements are currently expected to harmonize onto the adjacent properties. FDOT in the near future will be in contact with these property owners to discuss the license agreement process, and you will have an opportunity to discuss these improvements and see further details. Now I'll pass off the presentation to Rob to finalize.
Okay, thank you, Raymond. I guess that was pretty informative. A lot of interesting details there. I'll try to summarize this for you now, as you can see, kind of with the project schedule and cost on slide 29. As you can see, the current cost estimate that we're estimating is $6.5 million for the construction of the project. The final design will be completed in December of 2021, so by the end of this year. The letting date when bids will be received will be April 2022. And with that, we will be assuming that construction will start sometime in summer of 2022. So, and as previously mentioned, we encourage participation. As we said, there are multiple ways to do this, such as submitting questions, or questions can be typed in the pane, or you can raise your hand and wait for someone to call on you to speak. Everyone, including those of you who dialed in, can also submit your comments or questions after the meeting by using the mail, email, or telephone information shown on the slide. All my contact information is right there. And at this point, Raymond, I'll ask, do you see any questions that have come in?
Rob, at this point, we do not have any questions specific from the technical standpoint that I see. We received a couple of questions related to sound and to provide a link to the presentation. I do see someone typing in wait, so we will give folks the opportunity to type in any questions they have. If you do wish to speak, you can also raise your hand. I do see one hand raised, which is it actually was removed. We had Scott Boyd had his hand raised, but it's no longer raised. We do have Mustafa with his hand raised. Mustafa is from City of Tamarack. I can give him the floor real quick in case he wants to make any comments. Mustafa, I'm going to connect your audio. Give me 1 second. Mustafa, you should be unmuted. You may have to unmute yourself, but you should be able to speak.
Perfect. Thank you, Raymond. And thank you, Rob. I just want to thank you for the great presentation and let you know that the City of Tamarack is in support of this project, and I'm here on the call as well. So not sure if there's any residents on the call that have any specific questions, but I can address or answer or assist in answering any question that they may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mustafa.
Okay, thank you, Mustafa. Oh, go ahead, Raymond.
No, we did receive one question. I'm not sure if you were going to ask Mustafa anything, but we did receive an additional question while Mustafa was talking. 2 additional questions. The first one is from Scott Boyd. What is the impact of the swales in front of the 2 subdivisions? Scott, I'm going to ask you for a little bit more detail related to which subdivisions you're referring to. Most of the residential properties are occurring between around 28th Avenue to 24th Avenue. Within that area, and please let me know if that's not the area you're asking, but Rob, if you don't mind going to slide number 20, which is a section from 28th Avenue to 24th Avenue.
Yeah, I believe that's what's on the screen. Is that correct? Is that what you see?
I see the license agreement slide.
Okay.
Yep.
Let
And
me-
Scott just sent a comment that he confirmed that's the area that we were talking about. Okay. So Scott, in this area, oh, I don't see the slide anymore. There we
Okay,
go.
can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
So Scott, in this area, currently out there, you have 2 existing 12-foot travel lanes, and then you have swale on both sides of the road with existing landscaping. What we are doing is we're going ahead and we're reducing those 12-foot travel lanes to 11 feet, and we're widening an additional 4 feet to each side. That widening in conjunction with that curb and gutter type F, so now you're going to have a curb facility, which is that curb and gutter type F, and then you're going to have a sidewalk. So you're going to have a facility with sidewalk on both sides, and it's going to be wide, and it's going to be a little wider in order to introduce those particular bicycle lanes. There is a number of trees and shrubs that we have between the frontage road. You have the frontage road, swale, and Prospect Road. We are actively working with Mustafa and the city of Tamarack to find ways to minimize our impacts to the landscaping, whether that means that we have a straight shot sidewalk or we meander that sidewalk at certain locations in order to avoid impacts to some of the larger, more mature trees. So to answer your question, in summary, we are widening this area and introducing sidewalk and curb and gutter with a heavy effort on minimizing impacts to the existing landscaping there. On the north side and south side of Prospect Road, and this is a follow-up to your question, Scott, on the north side and south side of Prospect Road, that lighter gray shape that you see identified as a frontage road on both sides of the screen, which is on the far left and the far right, that is outside of the project limits. We are not doing any work on the frontage roads. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Scott. If you have any other questions, please feel free to type them in. Any of the folks that they want to add anything else related to my response?
Yeah, Raymond.
Do we have, go ahead.
And with the reduction of the swales, the elimination of the swales in that corridor, we are putting curb inlets there, and we'll be collecting the stormwater runoff in the curb inlets and then take them to a subsurface French drain type system. So the water that used to go to the swales will now be collected in the curb and gutter and go to a closed storm sewer system and be treated that way.
Thank you, Mary. Robert, you were going to add something?
Oh, just kind of as a side note, if you had the exhibit handy, in case anyone had more questions about the swale impact of the, but we can address that separately if they need more detail.
So more than willing to, I don't have an exhibit handy here that that clearly depicts I think the best thing would be to superimpose the existing on top of the proposed. It's something that we can definitely provide Scott and any other folks who are interested. I think, Scott, you do have the contact information for the folks at the last slide, and we'll share that again at the end. So more than willing to share any additional information you need related to this particular area.
Yeah, so just want to make sure if you feel the response is not complete, we can provide you additional information after the meeting is complete as well. I think there's the next question.
Yes, so we have.
Hey, Rob, Andrew Disbury from the city of North Lauderdale, I think, has his hand up too. And
he has a question.
People have their hands up as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a number of questions and comments that we have at least 8 folks who have written in comments, and we have 1, 2, 3, 5 folks with their hands up.
We can move to the hands up, and then we'll get back to the questions.
Sure.
Do you want to see who's got their hands up?
So I'm going to go down the list, and the first one is exactly who Saul mentioned, which is Andrew Disbury, and he also has a question. So Andrew, I'm going to unmute you. You're able to ask your question to us over audio, and you are unmuted.
Hi, Rob. Hi, everybody. Just wanted to share my support for this project and the city's support. We do have a site plan coming through right now on Prospect and 441. It's not proposing any impacts to the right of way along Prospect, but I do know there's a bus stop and some things. So just wondering if you all have had the opportunity to look at any conflicting any conflicts there with the bus stop and the pedestrians with the sidewalk.
Raymond, you want to answer? We have been coordinating with them, and Raymond, I think you can provide more detail.
Sure. So we have been coordinating, Andrew, you're absolutely right. We have been coordinating with the development, and it's at the corner of, it's on the southeast corner of Prospect Road and State Road 7.
Yes, sir.
You're absolutely correct. What we've seen is that there's no physical impacts to the Prospect Road right away. However, based on that project, there are going to be some immediate improvements, such as a bus pull-out area right on the eastbound lanes of Prospect Road on that southeast corner. Additionally, we are coordinating with those folks to make sure that the interim improvements, or the improvements that they're going to be providing before our project, consider the final improvements that we're providing, and that includes both the bicycle lane placement and the sidewalk placement. So that project is also including sidewalk, and we're actively coordinating with them to make sure that these projects reduce impacts in the same area.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, Andrew, I'm going to go ahead and mute you, but if you do have any other questions, please let us know and please raise your hand. All right, the next person that I see is James McNSP, and I apologize if I did not say your last name correctly, but I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. James, you should be connected to audio. Please let us know if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you. My question is about is there going to be any traffic calming because of the stretch of road from Dixie Highway to Power Line? The improvements they did there to make the bike lanes, that actually made traffic worse. People speed, from my experience, more than they used to get through there now. And people already speed down the stretch of road from 24th all the way to 31st. And is there any traffic calming that's going to take place? Because, like I said, it's bad here now, and the lanes will be less wide. However, you're adding a bike lane, which technically, while there's not a bike there, the cars use that as part of the lane anyway, and they'll just speed through here. So any traffic calming?
Rob, you want me to answer, or?
I can answer. I mean, at this time, there are no direct measures to provide traffic calming along this facility. I guess that is not currently the purpose of the project.
Okay. Can it be added to the project by any chance?
It depends if it's complementary to the work that we're doing. If it's complementary to the purpose of the project.
Okay.
And it's supported by the right-of-way owner, which in this case is Broward County and the city of Tamarack, then there is opportunity to add such features, depending, like I said, as long as it's complementary to what we're doing out there.
So possibly a stop sign at Northwest 27th Avenue, right in the middle of the stretch of road you have up right now?
Stops, let me go back to
27th Avenue, Rob, is about
somewhere around here, probably.
Correct.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
It's right in the middle of the city of Tamarack, where the kind of landscape area.
Directly under the O of.
Yeah, I mean, a stop sign is considered a traffic control feature, and there is certain criteria that it has to meet. for it to be installed. We'll have to speak with Broward County to find out if it will meet that criteria. We'll be sure to discuss this with Broward County and and the city of Tamarack. And if it does meet that criteria and it is supported by the public, then there is possibility it can be included.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, James. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. If you have any other questions, feel free to raise your hand and we can bring you back on.
Okay, thank you.
All right. The next participant with their hands up, and it's Jill Lewis, and she has entered also 2 questions related to Tuscan Villas. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Jill. Please let us know what your questions are. Jill, it still shows that you on your side are self-muted. So I've unmuted. Let's see. I have unmuted you. There we go.
Okay, there I am. Yes, I'm the president of the board of directors for Tuscan Villas, and I want to build off of what James just stated. And in my type question around that curve where the C in City of Tamarack, that's where Tuscan Villas is located. And we have seen a number of accidents on that curve, again, to what James is saying in terms of people speeding. And we had raised this a couple of years, maybe 2 years ago, and they did a safety study and they said, we didn't meet the criteria. But as I noted in my question, on more than a few occasions, we are picking up pieces of cars that hit that curve too fast. And they may not have reported the accident, but we do find pieces of cars on the swale. So I'm a little concerned during the construction where you're narrowing the lanes that we're going to see more accidents, and wanted to know if any additional safety measures can be taken.
So I can answer the construction portion. So I thank you, number one, for bringing that to your attention. We do take safety as one of the paramount to our design. So we are reducing the travel lane widths through that S-curve, let's call it, which is in front of Tuscan Villas. Tuscan Villas is just west of 28th Avenue, right at the bottom curve. What we can do is we can look, there is ample space through that particular area where we open up into right turn lane and left turn lane, depending on whether you're going into Tuscan Villas or if you're going into the adjacent church. So we can look at those particular areas through those curves to make sure that we provide wider lanes, at least through the curves, in order to provide improved maneuverability through that particular area. There's also going to be required by the contractor, he's going to be required to sign the area appropriately. So there's going to be there should be ample signs identifying whether there's road work ahead, a shift in a travel lane. So there's going to be multiple measures that we'll take to make sure that drivers are aware of any changing conditions. And then we'll make sure also through these curves to look at how we can increase the travel lane width to avoid having such a tight lane through there. That's on the temporary condition. You also talked about the proposed final condition. The scope of this work from the proposed final condition is to match the existing condition as close as possible. The primary intent is to introduce those bicycle lanes and is to introduce sidewalks. So we are going ahead and introducing those particular features. We've looked at the curvature through that particular area. We are making minor tweaks to make sure that we're meeting the applicable criteria for that particular area, making sure that we have adequate offsets. There is 2 utility poles right at that curve that we are aware of, and we're making sure that we fit the road appropriately through there to provide ample space. So we are looking to work within the existing typical section, but outside of that, there hasn't been any other items brought to us by the county or by the MPO to address other issues that may be occurring based off your comments. You're picking up pieces of vehicles that may not be reporting these accidents.
Jill, can I ask you, you mentioned you had requested something in the past and it didn't meet the criteria. What was it that you were requesting in the past?
It was a safety study. Because like I said, we have at night, late at night, you know, all of a sudden you hear a loud boom is because people were taking that S-curve too fast. So we did request a safety study, maybe a year, within the past 2 years, because we wanted additional calming devices or something to try to make that curve a little safer. So it should be in someone's files.
Yeah, I guess, Raymond, I believe we are improving the cross slope throughout that area.
Yeah,
Which,
so exists.
it's a typical improvement around curves, and I'm not sure what type of signage. Are there any existing warning signs there?
There's a few existing Chevron warning signs. We can look at making sure that we provide adequate Chevron warning signs.
Yeah, we can make sure it meets all that those Chevron signs meet the criteria and are positioned properly. That would probably be a good step we can definitely do.
Well, again, if you can go above and beyond that, I mean, I'm not asking for major changes, but just recognize that, you know, we have been complaining for a couple of years. And like I said, people don't
above that, what is it specifically, Jill? I mean, that what do you feel needs to be done out there? Can I ask?
Well, I'll tell you what the problem is, and then and you guys may have better solutions. People hit that S-curve too fast, and they end up on the swale right in front of Tuscan Villas.
Robert, may I interject? This is Mustafa, City of Tamarack.
Yes, go ahead.
So if I recall, over the past 2 years or so, the City of Tamarack had received, I believe, 2 requests from 2 different residents for traffic calming devices on that portion of the road. As you're aware, we are not the right-of-way owners, so we conveyed the message to the county, and the county responded at that time. The county did actually go out and study. It did not meet the criteria based on the amount of vehicles and the speed we're going there, because as you know, the county has a criteria that the speed limit of the 85th percentile has to be 6 miles or above the speed limit to post a speed limit. So based on their study, that was not qualified. Additionally, that's considered a main arterial road in the Broward County justification map. Therefore, they're not allowed to put any speed humps there. So that was where it was left off with. So the City of Tamarack did attempt and did submit the request to the county back then to Carmel's office.
Yeah, and Robin, Raymond, maybe we could look at the signage that's existing out there and then see how we can improve it to help try to warn vehicles and other users of the road that there is two 90-degree turns that are coming up. So let's evaluate that and let's see what we can do about it, you know, within the standards that we have and the rules and regulations and whatnot.
Absolutely, we can look
Yes,
at that.
I mean that's all. I mean that's all I'm requesting. I want to bring it to your attention is that S-curve is a problem, and so you know if anything can be done to make it safer, obviously we would appreciate it. My second question has to do with the swale. We are, as our association, we are responsible for landscaping that swale at considerable expense because it is very large. Is the construction going to take away a portion of the swale, or is it going to be maintained the exact same size? Any feedback on that?
So I can answer your question, and I'm looking at Google Maps to look at the entrance to Tuscan Villas. I do see that you have landscaping that is sitting currently behind the sidewalk. Do you have any landscaping in front of the sidewalk along Prospect Road?
No, but we landscape it because you know we're required to. And as you can see, if you're looking at Google Maps, the between the sidewalk and Prospect Road, that's a large area that goes all the way around that curve that we have to maintain.
So through that area, we are doing some minor widening through that S-curve, and I'm talking about the side adjacent. that runs parallel to Tuscan Villas. We are doing some widening, and looking through our plans, the widening is going to vary anywhere from 2 feet to about 7 feet into that swale. So you'll have approximately let's call it an average of 7 feet less of green area. We are not impacting that existing sidewalk, so the swale will remain from the existing sidewalk to the new pavement, which is about 7 feet towards your property.
That's actually, that's good news for us.
And I think probably the biggest thing for maintenance purpose is the slope will remain very gradual, 1 to 6. So it will still be very easy to get a mower onto those slopes there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. If you do have any other questions, go ahead and raise your hand again, or submit them in the questions box. Thank you, Joe. Okay. I see one more hand up, and before we jump on to the questions that were typed in, I see Kathleen Kessler with her hand raised. I'm going to go ahead. Kathleen is not connected to audio, so I'm unable to unmute her. So Kathleen, if you are able to connect to audio and you would like to speak to us, please connect to audio, and I'll go ahead and add you to.
Do you see a question typed in from Kathleen in the question box?
I just scroll down. I do. It says, how will this affect the existing communities between Northwest 28th Avenue and Northwest 24th Avenue? So very similar to Scott's question. So this is the area, which is the next slide.
Yeah,
28th Avenue to 24th Avenue is the area within the city of Tamarack. This is the area where we are going from flush shoulder, which means there is no curb and gutter out there. There's very sporadic locations with sidewalk. In summary, what we are doing is we're narrowing the lanes from 12 feet to 11 feet, and we're providing 5-foot bicycle lanes. So your overall pavement width is going to be those 2 11-foot lanes and 2 5-foot bicycle lanes. From there, we add curb and gutter on both sides and sidewalk on both sides. That's the limits of our construction. There is existing trees and shrubs that, as we mentioned to Scott earlier, we're looking at reducing overall impacts to maintain a lot of the landscaping that is out there right now, separating the frontage road and the Prospect Road. We are not doing any work on the existing frontage roads. Kathleen, if you have any other questions related to that to your particular question, please go ahead and it says Kathleen is on the phone. She just mentioned that she's on the phone. I do not have a way to add you to audio. It says not connected to audio, unfortunately. So if you do have any other questions, feel free to type them into the questions box, and we'll read them out and answer to the best we can. All right. That's it on the raised hands. I'm going to go ahead and read through any questions that we received on the question panes, and we can go ahead and answer them. So we've answered Ms. Joe Lewis's questions. Okay.
I believe Teresa Garardi would be.
You said, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
You said you will be replacing the sod. Will it be St. Augustine grass that is currently there, or will it be Bahia grass? Typically, and we can definitely get back to you, unfortunately our landscape architect isn't here on the call, but typically we replace in kind with what's there. So
we can specify either one. That's something we'll have to talk to the city of Tamarack. Mustafa, we can get direction from them of what is preferred, and we can specify either one.
So that, if I could relate to it, that is mentioned specifically in the interlocal agreements, because as I mentioned, that right of way is a county right of way. The city maintains it. We have an interlocal agreement with the county to maintain it. So the type of grass, it is specified in the agreement. So I would say we'll match an existing. I'm not sure what's out there right now. I think it's St. Augustine. that has to be matched. I could be wrong. It may be Bahia, but I think St. Augustine out there.
Okay, so it sounds like we will match existing, we'll identify what is the existing turf out there, and we'll be sure to properly specify that to match existing.
Thank you, Teresa. The next comments we have, scroll down here. We've answered these. Next one is from Isabella Blanco. The question is there an estimated completion date? Rob, if you don't mind going to the
Let me
slide.
go to the, yeah, I'm looking for that now. Yeah, the construction will probably start summer of 2022. I would imagine, you know, a little over a year, probably 18 months, I would imagine, for a project such as this. So from summer of 22 to probably about you know, early 24 is when it should be complete.
Correct. And we're also going to be hosting a construction open house, and during that construction open house and around summer 2022, we'll be able to provide you a better estimated completion date at that time, and all the residents will be provided flyers or email notifications at that time as well to attend that open house.
Okay, next question.
The next question is, let me scroll down here, from Esther Brandt. Will the grade of the turn in the road be improved at the east side of the S turn?
Yeah,
Again,
I think this is similar to the previous safety concerns at the S curve there. I don't think we're changing the actual geometry of the alignment itself. The only feature we will be improving is the cross slope of the road.
So if I can further elaborate on that. Currently, when it comes to the grade of these roads, it's a trade-off between, you have a tight horizontal curve, which is the type S curve that we keep talking about. The flatter it is, the more likely that you're going to have a vehicle run off the road, right? So typically right now, what you have there is a pretty steep curve, which is around 8 to 9%. What in that curve on the east side portion, we are matching the existing grade because it meets the requirements for having a tight radius that we have there, which is at 90-degree curve. So that's necessary to reduce the number of vehicles that you can potentially have that are running off the road. Okay, the next question from Esther is, when were the traffic counts done? What year? Were they done after the pandemic?
I can try to pull those up right now. You can go on to the next question, and I'll see if I have that ready in just a minute.
Thank you. The next question is from Esther as well. Will the stretch from 28th to 24th be a no passing zone? I believe currently, and I'm checking Google Maps, but I believe it's currently striped double yellow, which indicates, I see there's portions as you're nearing the intersections that are striped as skip striping, which allows for passing. So we'll analyze that as part of this project. If we identify a need to stripe it solid double yellow, which I'm looking at it now, pretty much all of it except one small section from between 28th to 27th Avenue is currently striped double yellow, which indicates that it's a no passing zone. We will look at that section as part of our project, but typically, unless there's an identified need brought to us by the county, typically we try to maintain what's out there. But we can look at it.
Here's the traffic counts. It looks like the most recent one was 2018 that was used for this project. We had counts from 2005 to 2018.
So that answered Esther's previous comment, which was when were the traffic counts done? What year were they done after the pandemic? So thank you, Robert. The next question we have is from Kathleen Kessler. To what James said, the cars always speed through the section where we live and pass each other, causing accidents. Kathleen, we've noted your comment as part of the records for this public meeting. We are looking based off of Scott's, and I think also we had a number of comments from Scott's, from Jill, and from yourself. We will look at this particular area to see if we can improve.
Yeah, I think this kind of warrants, we'll probably have to get with the city of Tamarack and Broward County to find out a little bit more about the background of what has been evaluated already, and see if there is opportunity to do anything on this roadway.
All right. Another comment from, and I see two hands raised, so I'm gonna, and one of them is Kathleen, and I see that she is connected to audio, so I'm gonna go ahead and unmute Kathleen and allow her to voice any questions. Kathleen, you are unmuted.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to expound on what James and the lady at Tuscan Villas said, and Rob, you've just kind of said what you need to do. You need to get with the city of Tamarack. Obviously they haven't, I don't know when they did their studies about the speed on this road, but from the stop sign at 24th and that heads down to Commercial all the way to 31st, people, they run that stop sign, they fly through here. People, I've seen 2 accidents happen at that S, or right before the S actually, because people are they're going so fast, they're passing people. And there's been I believe an incident in our own neighborhood where we're on the north side, where the vehicle from one of our homeowners was trying to get out onto Prospect and was hit because of that. So I'm glad to hear you say, Rob, that you're going to look into this more with Broward County and the city of Tamarack, because this is a dangerous road. And there's a lot of kids in these neighborhoods now. These used to be 55 and older communities, but now there's a lot of children that live here, and people are out walking or heading over to the Caparilla Park. So I just wanted to expound on what James and the lady from Tuscan Villas. I am the association president here, and we do have some concerns about that. And you know, the traffic has just increased exponentially through this area.
Raymond, do you want to, I believe there are some improvements we were looking at that intersection.
At the intersection of 24th Avenue, which is where the 90-degree turn is, we have looked at, basically what we're doing is right now you have a very large continuous right turn movement if you're going from eastbound to southbound. We are looking at a number of things, which includes a crosswalk there and signage which requires vehicles to yield to pedestrians as required. We are also looking at tightening that radius. So by tightening, a vehicle needs to naturally slow down to be able to make that turn comfortable. So these are some of the features that we're adding that should be able to reduce some of the speed that you guys have through this particular corridor, and should reemphasize the importance of yielding for pedestrians at adequate crossing locations.
Right, I see that, but I will tell you that nobody stops. I see it all the time. Nobody stops there. And a crosswalk to me seems very dangerous, because somebody's gonna get hit. I know they're trying to widen the park and everything, and so hopefully it all works out. Hopefully, I know you guys know what you're doing, and I am not a PE. So hopefully it all works out for the benefit of all, and nobody will get hurt. But thank you for listening, and thank you for taking our concerns back to the county.
Appreciate that, Kathleen. Rob, you were going to share something?
No, I just have a Google map in case you wanted to point anything out.
Yeah.
On the screen.
Yes,
That's the intersection there.
Yeah, this right here. So when you come out, like it literally takes me sometimes 5 to 10 minutes just to get out of the neighborhood. And sometimes the traffic from the Commercial Boulevard light is backed up further than where this white car is. Back to the entrance of where our neighborhood is. But when people come through here, nobody stops at this stop sign. Nobody stops going here. Unless there's somebody here stopped, obviously, and then they will, wanting to make a left-hand turn coming this way. But this is crazy here. It's the traffic is terrible. Nobody stops.
If I can interject, this is Mustafa, City of Tamarack, Mustafa, City Engineer, City of Tamarack. If you can email me your complaint, I could get BSO out there and do a speed trap, or have a motorcycle out there. At least start issuing tickets that will hopefully resolve the immediate concern, because whatever Rob and Raymond try and design, this won't take effect 2 years from now. So if we want to address the people not stopping at a stop sign immediately, please go ahead and send me an email, and I'll get it to BSO, and we'll have someone out there to do a speed trap.
They show up there on occasion, maybe once a month. You'll see them. Years ago, when I first moved into this community, my daughter was in high school. She got her first ticket there for not stopping all the way. But I always stop because of that, and I always look down the road to make sure, because they usually come down here and hang out down here. But there was even an accident at one point, I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, where they were heading north on Prospect there right here, and they drove straight into the bushes and took out.
I believe it is, though, a yield control at the moment, not a stop control.
Right. But if you've got somebody here waiting to turn left to go to Commercial, these people don't stop to let them go, which is what they are supposed to do. If there's someone with a turn signal here and wanting to go this way, these cars, because there's a yield sign, need to yield to that turning car at some point. So this is a bad area, and then of course the S area down towards 28th and the Tuscan Villas is a really bad area. But people fly through here. I'm just telling you. I don't know what they obviously did the studies a long time ago. There's much more traffic coming through here now than there was in 2018. We even have semi tractor trailers coming into our neighborhood because they think they can go through and they can't. So they have to back out to get out of the neighborhood. But it's crazy out there. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable riding a bike along there, but hey, go for it. So thank you again. I'll let you guys go. I know you have other people asking questions. So thank you again for hopefully working again with the county and the city to make this safe for these neighborhoods that are being impacted by your changes.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen.
Thanks, take care.
Thank you. Kathleen, I'm sending you Mustafa's email through the question box as a response to your answer.
Thank you, sir.
We have one more hand raised, which is James. James previously, I think he did speak, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute James. James, you are unmuted.
Yes, I'm just continuing what Kathleen was speaking about there about the speed and everything along Prospect there, and that is why I was suggesting the stop sign at 27th Avenue, because it's midway, and that would make people slow down and hopefully curb some of the traffic through here. But I get what I'm gleaning from this conversation is that since this is an arterial road, very little will be considered to be done to discourage traffic from going through here, meaning the number of cars and how fast they go. So I guess my question should be is, what does the community need to do to get these changed to a different road label, I guess, whatever we can do. What's the label of the road? Local, or what do we need to get it listed as so that we can stop this? Because there's been many accidents. My neighbors, I almost get hit. You have to cut people off just to get out of here in the mornings to go to work. It's a nightmare road. So and yeah, as far as the speeding, I myself continuously for 6 months straight was so fed up with it. I called the Tamarack Sheriff's Department every day. I have one of the officers' numbers on my cell phone. Called them every day. There's nothing they're going to do. They come out, they sit there, they get a few cars, and then they move on. They're not going to set up anything permanent on this roadway to do anything serious about it, to where people start talking about, hey, I'm not going down Prospect anymore. You hear what they're doing there? So I guess, what do we got to do to get it changed from being labeled an arterial to another roadway that the community can have more control in?
Mustafa, are you still on the line? Can you?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, there's not much I can do or the city can do, because that's like I said, that's owned. It's a county road. All what we could do is voice the residents or express the residents' opinions and pass it on to the county. But you guys, Raymond and Robert, you guys have been involved with us in the conversation with the county, and you know how they act when it comes to their right of way, that no one tells them what to do. But again, if anyone has a concern, you could send an email to me and I'll pass it on to the county. But there's not much I can do personally to force them to change it from arterial roads to a local road. It just, they have their own analysts and their own maps and all that stuff. And me, as yes, I do hold a professional engineering license, but they will not take my opinion into consideration.
Well, I would say some things that we are doing, though, is, if you even look at this revised typical, when you typically add curb and gutter to a roadway, that does indirectly have an effect of people drive a little bit more cautiously when there's curb and gutter as opposed to a shoulder condition. So there are some things you might see improvement.
Well, what I'd like to point out with your design there is that you keep saying that it's taking away a foot from each lane, which that's fine, but then you're adding a couple feet for a bike lane. Bikes never go up and down this road, and for the speeders that come through here on a regular occasion, that's going to be great for them, because now they have the bike lane width also to speed through. So it's literally going to make things worse through here, I think, is what our concern is. It's bad enough now, but that's going to make things worse doing what you guys are going to do there.
That's been a common concern people have had about these a little bit. Well, in this case, these are only 5-foot bike lanes. With a little bit wider bike lanes, we've occasionally seen that, but with 5-foot bike lanes, I don't know, Mustafa or Raymond, I don't think I've seen people try to use a 5-foot bike lane.
Well, not the 5. What I'm saying is the overall lane that they have considered in their brain when they're speeding through here, now they have from the double yellow line all the way to the curb. They won't visually take into account that bike lane if there's nothing there. So the incentive to slow down isn't there for them. You know what I mean? So that was just, that's our main concern around here is as you're hearing from everyone, is the speeding and the safety. For my neighbor, she was slowing down, coming home from work to take a left turn right here at 27th Avenue to turn southbound from Prospect onto 27th Avenue. And a car came up and passed her as she was trying to take the left. The car passed her and sideswiped her. T-boned her. Yeah, T-boned her. And it's just people are in such a hurry to get through here. So that's my question. What do we do? What do we have to do basically to get the attention of the county? What do the citizens have to do to change that listing from arterial to something else?
Or put a stop sign in.
Or put a stop sign in, yeah. What do we have to do to at least get a stop sign in?
We can find out, we can talk to the county and get a little bit more details. It sounds like the study was already performed. So of why a stop sign was not recommended in the past. Typically when the stop sign is not recommended, it's because there are indications that it could cause a bigger safety hazard than it's fixing. But we can try to find out a little bit more about that.
We had a death here at this intersection a while back. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it was some time ago. But there has already been a death here, and they tightened the turn radius, I guess, to help with that, and it helped a little bit, but not really. So, and I think the reason maybe they don't want to put the stop sign is because it will actually slow down the traffic flow through here, which is what the citizens are trying to do, but unfortunately not what the county apparently wants for their right of way, apparently. So I see the fight that you're talking about with the county pushing back.
Well, I can tell you the criteria for stop sign is all based on safety. It is about whether it will most likely be safer with the sign or without the sign.
Okay.
So it's not really about capacity. The criteria is all about which one will make it more safe. But obviously, we can't control other people as well.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I wish we could, but we will. We are listening to what you're saying, and obviously the objective of this project is access and mobility. So within the realm of that, we will try to examine what we can do.
Okay.
As a side note, we do have an attendee from Broward County on as an attendee. They don't seem to be connected to be able to speak, but Broward County has been an active participant in our coordination this whole entire time, and we'll continue to coordinate those particular efforts. And I'm glad we do have somebody from Broward County on the call. We'll make sure to reinforce the items that you guys are speaking today.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I am going to go ahead and mute you, James. If you have any other questions, please raise your hand. We have 3 other questions on the chat box. Another question from Esther Brent. Will the curbs be raised? And if yes, how high? And the question continues. It says, just concerned about the number of ducks and duckling crossings. So within the section that we've been talking about quite a bit during this presentation, we do have curb. Right, and that's a section that is on your screen, which is from 28th Avenue to 24th Avenue. This is what's considered, in our lingo, it's a curb and gutter type F, but in essence, it has a 6-inch height from the gutter to the top of it. And it's very similar to what you actually see there on your screen. At those returns, for instance, at 27th Avenue, you currently have curb and gutter type F. So it's very similar to the height that you have at your intersections right now.
Any other questions right there?
We have 2 more. The next one I have is from Jill Lewis. Question is, what about wildlife safety? From Tuscan Villas and east along the Prospect Road is heavily trafficked duck area. We have ducks visit Tuscan Villas Lake every day, and in the evening, they head back east along Prospect Road. There are a few duck crossing signs. With relation to the signage that we have on the corridor, our intent is to, if we are impacting it as a result of our project, our intent is to place back that signage. So if there is existing duck crossing signage, we will go ahead and reintroduce that. Currently, we don't have additional locations identified to have any type of wildlife signage. So right now, wherever you have signage.
If the signage is out there, it was placed either by the city or county for a reason. So we can find out a little bit more about that and just make sure it gets put back in the location it was intended for.
Yep. Okay. The last question we have is from Kathleen. It is, people use Prospect Road as a shortcut because it takes too long to go to east on Commercial off Northwest 31st Avenue. So I think this is a continuation from the question that she spoke about earlier and that James also spoke about. So Kathleen, if you do have any other questions, we have it on our record, the concern that you have that folks are using Prospect Road as a shortcut. And then I see No other questions, but I do see that Jill has raised her hand. I'm going to go ahead and unmute Jill. Jill, you are unmuted. The floor is yours.
I just wanted to go back to the question about the ducts. It was not so much about the signage, but about how the ducts, and all the other residents can speak to this. You know, there is signs there. It is really heavily trafficked. And they have their normal path that they take, and they make it all the way down to Tuscan Villas and then swim around for a couple of hours, then head back down Prospect Road. And I'm just asking a general question, has that been taken into account during construction?
For
So
ducks,
currently,
I have not seen any special provisions. We take special considerations when there is, for every project, we do a wildlife survey, and if there are endangered or threatened species within the corridor, there is a special mitigation that is taken to make sure those species are protected and preserved along that corridor. For ducks, I am not aware of any endangered requirements that would be triggered due to them being found along the corridor.
Correct. And when this project gets closer to construction, we can make our construction team and the contractor aware of it, just to be aware of where the ducks are crossing, and then we can try to do our best to try to mitigate any of the construction activities to make sure that they still have, you know, a safe way to get across, you know, generally around the same area that they're in. But to that extent, that's really the most we can do regarding the duck crossing.
And they actually do cross at the duck crossing signs. So guys will stop for them. All the ducks and their little baby ducks.
We can make sure the sign is preserved during construction as well. That's probably definitely something we can do.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. At this point, I do not see any other questions on the question and answer box. I also do not see any other raised hands. See, double checking. Not. I think, Rob, we could probably go to the last slide, which I think gives everybody the opportunity. I think 10 more minutes.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we did the last one yet, but yeah, I mean, we just want to thank everyone for coming and joining us here today for to discuss the mobility improvements along Prospect Road. You know, again, if any other comments or questions come to your mind, feel free to reach out to any one of us. My contact information is on the screen, as you can see here. Comment period will remain open until March 11th. And we will actually stay on the line for, it is currently 6:57, so we will stay on the line, I guess, maybe until 7:15 to respond to any further comments or questions that come up. When you log off today's meeting, you will receive a short survey sent to the email that you provided. We hope you'll complete the survey and give us your feedback about how informative or how you feel the meeting went. You'll receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to the recording of today's meeting. And as I said before, you've probably heard this website. The recording will also be posted on www.d4fdot.com. So I guess on behalf of the Florida Department of Transportation and all of your presenters, we thank you for joining us today, and stay safe.
So I'll monitor the comments and questions. If anything comes up, I'll let you know.
Sorry, I was on mute, but yeah. Let me go through the.
Rob, Ricardo with the Barden PO, how are you?
Doing good, doing good. How about yourself?
Good, good. To let you know, I'm here just in case. Faisal had to step away. So if any questions for us, guys just can count on me to be here until 7:15.
Okay, yeah. We'll stay online for a little while.
We will.
Glad to have you with us.
Perfect.
So it's 7:15. That marks the 15 more minutes that we are presenting, and we have not received any additional questions. Rob, at this point, if you're okay, I'm going to stop recording and close the GoToMeeting.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good night.
Likewise.